Is being single, Christian, and using technology to have children a bad thing?
What's up, guys? My name is Bright, and my subject matter is there a one?
Hello everyone, my name is Stephen and my subject matter is Womenist Midrash.
Hi, I'm Claudia. Percival Everett rewrote the book Huckleberry Finn from the vantage point of Jim the slave. The book is called James. Is there anything in your life that needs to be rewritten from a different vantage point?
Hello, welcome to the IN2G show. I have got another panel for you guys to have another conversation with. And who are these panelists this week? Who are they? Right, who are you?
What's going on, guys? My name is Bright. I'm a speaker, I'm a preacher, and yeah, I'm just excited to be on the IN2G show today.
Thank you, Bright.
Yeah.
And who are you?
My name is Stephen, I am a pastor and I am coming all the way from Cornwall.
Welcome. And who are
Okay.
you?
And I'm Claudia, public speaker coach and radio presenter, and it's a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay, so who am I going to have this as the first person to find out what their discussion is about? Okay, let's start with Claudia, actually.
Okay, let's start. Now, I read a lot of newspaper clippings simply because I'm just interested in what's around. And there is this person called Percival Everett. He's an author and he has written a book in reverse. Who knows of Huckleberry Finn?
I heard of Huckleberry, yes.
Huckleberry Finn, written in 1884 by Mark Twain, about a white child who ran away from an abusive father and family, and they were trying to escape. And in that, he had beside him Jim, who is a slave who was running away because he heard his master discussing selling him. Now, what Percival did was rewrite that book from the vantage point of Jim the slave. And he changed the name from Jim to James.
Yeah.
And he gave that perspective of how James would have written that book if he was the one who was being narrated. And it's gone off quite a bit in America. It's out on Amazon. I'm not advertising for them. I don't get paid for any of this, but it was quite interesting. And he has a piece in the BBC talking about why it is that he wrote this piece of a book. And you know what? It was quite interesting. And his main thrust was, I am giving Jim, now James, a voice. My take from that, from giving people a voice, I look at a lot of people who have different lives all over the world. People have gone through really tough things. People have gone through very good times. And I'm saying, just like Percival changed the script, have we ever thought about flipping the script in our own lives? To substantiate where we are. What's our vantage point? What's our story? That is my topic for discussion, and I'm hoping
How to
that
flip the script.
How to flip the script.
Okay,
How
from
to-
trauma to what?
From trauma, or not necessarily trauma, from where you were and what people know you for to where you are now. Because one of the things that I realize in life is that sometimes people know you as that person, and you're there in their mind as that person, irrespective of the fact that you have moved on, changed, evolved, but you're there in their head, and they will treat you just like that. Case in point, I'll use myself as an example, not giving you all no grits, but case in point, as a youngster, I'm the eldest of 5. You go out, you look after your siblings, you help your mom, and the community will see you as the eldest helping mom with the children. We weren't rich and so on. Now I would say I'm more accomplished. I'm going to be rather egotistical. I am accomplished and I have more goals and dreams, but I am not that person who they knew when I was younger, poor and struggling, helping my mom, going to the market, doing all of that stuff. And the treatment sometimes that I do get from family members, even now especially, is the treatment of the young lady or the little girl that they knew. They've held on onto that. So when I saw this, I thought, Jim is having his day as James. The vantage point is being changed or being given. And how many of us would like to have our script change? Not for anything false, but in recognition of where we are today and what we've accomplished. It would be nice.
Wow. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, that sounds really interesting. I was thinking, all right, I'm on Amazon, okay. I'm gonna just be logging onto my account after this. So, no, that's.
You can read upon it, to be honest. You can read upon it.
I actually thought it was really interesting. It's very good, actually, to actually see it from that perspective. But what are you thinking? I mean, Steve, what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it sounds interesting because it's. And it does tie into what I want to share, so it's good. I'm like, as soon as you started speaking, I was like, "This is perfect."
Yeah.
So, and you know, you're seeing through the eyes of someone else. Like you've been given a narrative, you have your story, and you know, this is like a story that you kind of grow up with, having learnt in school quite often as part of the curriculum.
GCSE as well, yeah.
And so you know, you're taught the story. You know, it's embedded in you. You know it. You know, but then to have someone kind of enter the story from a different angle, from the perspective of one of the other characters that are within the story, who are not the, what's the right word?
He's not the main character.
Yeah, he's not the main. Yeah, he's one of the kind of the side figures that happens to be in
Supportive
the story.
role.
Yeah. Like the co-actors.
Yeah, exactly. And to then see the story from that perspective, like that kind of stuff is super interesting to me. So
Thought he wasn't genius.
Fantastic. But what about you, Bright? What was your thoughts on that?
I think, just to echo what has been said, I feel like because sometimes when we read a story, the person that's in charge of the narrative kind of controls what we're going to be thinking about a narrative. So it takes someone quite, I guess, bold to actually change the narrative for you to think differently. But I also feel like it also can resonate in our own lives as well, that maybe we've been living a narrative from probably the wrong angle. And probably it takes somebody from the outside to come to really be like, well, have you actually seen it this way? And that's why I love perspectives. That's why I love friends. That's why I love therapy. That's why I love counselors. That's why I love motivational coaches, because I feel like all these people are built in our lives to kind of show, have you thought about it this way? And sometimes we can be really living from a one script dimension and just doing life that way. But it's really interesting and it's really intriguing and it's really, I guess, life-changing to have somebody actually flip the script in our own lives and to have people along us as well. So that was what was kind of going through my mind, like maybe I need some script flips in my life to kind of like, you know, show different perspectives.
Yeah, but I was thinking too, it's important to note that it did not discredit the original. It wasn't saying that you were wrong or Huckleberry Finn, that it's just his perspective. It's just showing another side. And it sort of brought to my mind, how open-minded am I? How do I see things? Viewpoints.
I was going to say to you, I mean, when I was thinking about it, I thought sometimes, like you said, you flip the script, but then people don't want you to flip the script. And it sometimes can be beneficial for you to stay in that place where you were, rather than actually for them to acknowledge and say, actually, this person has moved on and they are a different person. And I think a lot of people find that challenging, that transitioning. Because when people are around you and they expect you to be, or they have decided that is a script, that's what you are. You are that person. You are Jim and you're not James, which I'm saying. And then you start behaving like James. It's almost like, I can say it's like sometimes people can give you cognitive dissonance about it and say, well, no, you're Jim.
Go back
to
identify
exactly what it is. And I think sometimes people find that really, really challenging to then, and also then they become, I call it code switching in a way, where you then, you know, Jim will become Jim around certain people. Well, James will become Jim around certain people, and then will be James around others. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, have you been able to transition?
This has been literally my thought throughout this whole week. this whole month.
Wow.
And I was seriously, I can't believe this is actually happening right now. Like, this is actually what's been happening in my mind. It's like, I was just speaking to a couple of my friends yesterday, and I was like, do you guys adjust depending on who you're with? And is that necessarily a bad thing? Are you actually wearing a mask by doing that? Because I do feel like we naturally do it with people. I do feel like if you are with a different group of people, if you're with your boss, you may be acting a little bit more professional than you are with your friends. Even if you are like, you know, just being free with your friends, I just feel like there's a little bit of like, not shape-shifting kind of happening, but I feel like, but the question that I was asking them was that, how far is too far, and how much is really authentic to who you are? And so the question of authenticity really came up. Like, can you really truly maintain your truer self, who you are, in each single setting?
But
I was like, I don't think that's.
What do you think, Claudia?
But is there one level of you being authentic? I think there are different sides to people, and it's if there are different sides to you, you will bring out what is needed.
I love that.
for the occasion.
Yes.
And as such, are you being authentic in that moment? Yes. Simply because that is what is required. That's my take.
I love it. I
Yes?
love it. I agree.
And when we go to work, I love patois speaking. Outside of this, I will go into Jamaican. Is it appropriate for here now? No. Am I authentic still? Cameraman?
The audience.
Audience. So you see, there are. I just believe there are different aspects to individuals. We are not designed. I don't believe that God just designed us one way. And because people are used to doing things with a tunnel vision, we don't admit it, but it's an observation. You can observe if you will. What is happening is what's familiar to me, I want from you, and so you become to all people. But being authentic for me doesn't mean you have to be one way. It means that you know you are who you are at core, but you know how to adapt for whatever situation. And in those situations, you're authentic to that. But that's my take.
I wonder if I could challenge that a little.
Go on, let me hear you. Let me hear you.
Let's do it.
So if I take the example of like, you know, I'm my parents' son.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when I come home, you know, there are expectations that are placed upon like the way I behave and the way I conduct myself in life and you know, things like that. I mean, I don't have super strict parents, but you know, but there's there's still kind of like a general kind of like, you know, in this home, this is how we are, you know. But then when I'm with my friends, you know, I'm a very different way. Now, if those two worlds were to collide,
Well, your friends are your parents.
and my parents get to see me engaging with my friend. I'm thinking back to like, I don't know, 13-year-old Stephen here, you know, and they see that taking place. It's kind of like, I think they're going to have a problem. You know, but am I being authentic with my friends, or am I being authentic with my parents, or is it a case of I don't even know how to word it.
But do you think it's code switching?
Yeah.
But do you think your parents don't know who you are just because you don't do it in front of them? Do you think they're not aware? Because sometimes we think our people around us don't know us, and to be factual, they know us much better than we think. It may be a certain occasion that brings that out.
Oh yeah, for certain. Yeah.
So chances are they know what you do with your friends. They'll have an inkling. They won't see in action. I'm just saying. Vantage point again.
when you said those two worlds collide, I'm trying to envision that. How does that look like?
Maybe have a party and then they're all together.
Parents and friends, like.
If you're in town, for example, you happen to be with your friends and you didn't know that your parents were going out for a spot of shopping, and these two worlds collide.
Well,
And you were in the middle of that.
what kind of a 13-year-old were you?
Interesting. So what do you think? I mean, Bright, did you have any kind of, were you different with your friends than when you were at home? Like, if they saw you in a shopping centre, like Stephen, would they be seeing a collision there, or would they be seeing the same Bright in the house?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. I feel like at home, raised in an African family, it's quite. I'm mostly studying. I'm mostly like doing chores. I'm usually doing that, right? With my friends, I'm usually like, yo, let's play football. Like, let's go out. Let's have fun, right? So I feel like I think my parents know that there is a fun side of me.
Right.
I just feel like they didn't see too much of that in the home. I think most of the time I was just, yeah. So they definitely had some awareness, but they knew that if I was going out, he's having fun. You know what I'm saying? So, and when I came home was more like, get your books out, it's time to study, stay with my brothers here and there. Not that home wasn't okay, it wasn't fun. It was just more, you got stuff to do when you're at home. But when I was outside, we're just having fun, you know what I'm saying? We weren't really like, I was not thinking about home. So for me, my parents, not that they knew what I was doing outside, they really didn't. But I guess home was more like a more controlled place, I could say.
Yeah.
Right.
But look, I can take that and turn it around the other way. How we see or perceive our parents.
Yeah.
We see them as parents.
Yeah.
You don't see the fun side until some uncle come from somewhere and decides to spill the beans. Or something happened and there's a celebration and you see them and you go, oh, or a picture come out, So it's all about the same thing I said. You are your authentic self, that I am my authentic self, but I prescribe to what is needed at the time. I don't know if there's a difference to that, but I was also told that, I can't quote from where at the moment, that there are 5 times in your life that you change as well. People change about 5 times in their life. They go through 5 stages, and that's why marriages that's one of the reasons marriages can either stay or break, depending on what the changes involved. And I'm thinking about when you go through those different changes, who around you know, because your parents might know one person, and by the time they recognize that you're at the 4th stage, they don't recognize that person at all in terms of who you are as an individual, your likes, your dislikes, and so on. So it's really, there is no hard and fast rule on it. But guess what? Every Jim has a James.
I believe that.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, and on that note, actually, I'm going to go on to the next person. I think I'm going to go with you, Stephen, because it's so linked to, you said it's linked to this, so we can delve into it a little bit more as well. So
I wanted to share about a book I just finished, and I brought it along. So, very, very academic title right there, Womenist Midrash.
Right, okay.
So this is by Wilder C. Gaffney. And yeah, I mean, maybe I should probably explain what womenist theology is. I was like, what on earth is this? So it's born out of the African American experience, and it's born because of the lack of what's the right way to put it? It's the lack of the way that women are lifted up within the community that they found themselves in. So in America, around the time of the civil rights movement and things like that, you had liberation theology, particularly black liberation theology, which stemmed from liberation theologies that were happening in South America. And but they were very male-centric in the theology. I mean, while they did kind of generically cover male and female, the focus was predominantly male. And when it came to leadership within the civil rights, it was predominantly male, even though females played significant roles within the movement. The glory predominantly went to the male leaders. And then equally, the other side of that is you have feminist theology. But feminist theology was predominantly white. And so black women didn't find a space within there. And oftentimes when they tried to create a space in there, they were not included because the white feminists were too scared that it would cause such a ruckus that it would damage their attempts for feminist theology. And this wasn't just for theology, this ended up being a case for feminism in general. And so out of these experiences, womenist theology was created. And womenist theology, it addresses like all the stories that we know from the Bible, but it addresses it from the viewpoint. And this is where it connects to what you were sharing. You get to see through a different lens, through the eyes of black women who are feeling neglected by their own congregations in their church, but also by the society as a whole as well. And so a key figure in womenist theology is the character Hagar that you find in the Old Testament. And she is a central figure to womenist theology. I don't think you can pick up a womenist theology book without Hagar being mentioned.
Could you explain
Why Hagar?
why? Yeah, I was going to ask you. So
So
explain.
Hagar is of African descent.
Yes.
And she is an enslaved woman in the house of Abraham and Sarah. And she is, her body is used against her own will in the story. And in the process of that, she and her child are cast out and banished from the household out of no fault of their own. I mean, she might have, got a little, well, the story in the Bible talks about how she might have got a little bit kind of like high and mighty. But who's writing that? So you got those are the questions that kind of get asked, So she gets cast out, and then, it's when she's in this wilderness space that God speaks to her. And she is the first person in the scriptures to name God. So she gives God a name, and she calls him the God who sees me.
Wow. That's powerful. So what is your thoughts on that?
Boy,
Where do we
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that's that.
Well, what I should add, sorry, so the book is called Womenist Midrash, so I should maybe also explain Midrash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this has Jewish connotations. So Midrash is like, we would use a similar word like commentary, basically.
Right, okay.
So it's a commentary upon the stories, but Midrash is a little bit different to commentary, because Midrash tends to kind of also go a bit in between the lines of the stories, and it can fill the story out.
Right.
Okay.
Does that include some kind of like spiritual, like stuff that isn't necessarily put in the Bible? Would that,
Yeah,
would that come
exactly.
in? Okay.
And so it might like bring a character more to life,
Right.
for example, because often we get names in the Bible and we know nothing about them.
that person.
That we literally just have a name.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And sometimes we don't even get the name.
Yeah.
And so there's the Midrash kind of adds to that in a way, or fills it out, the good thing about Midrash is that you can have different Midrash for the same person.
That's right.
Interesting.
And so so a womanist theologian is going to speak from the lens that they see about this person, and it's going to relate to what they experience in life.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
I get you. The vantage points.
Right. So,
Interesting.
Wow.
what are you guys thinking? Claudia, right? Who wants to go?
I think for me, I'm just interested by the womanist aspect, in terms of I was in America for 8 years, so I studied, there. I did my theological background, but right before I came back to the United Kingdom, which was a couple of years ago, it was the rise of the BLM movement, the Black Lives Matter movement. So I was actually in the States when George Floyd actually was murdered. And if I could cut the tension that you felt in the state with a knife, it was felt. You didn't have to be in that particular state, but you felt it. So during that time, there were different movements coming up, and just creating that awareness. And I'm saying this all to say is that the particular campus that I was at, a couple of the black students decided to do a protest, but they weren't males. they were all females,
Okay.
the leaders of the protest. But so funny because they organized the protest, they put it together, and then they asked me, because I was the preacher, they're like, we need you to kind of march in front of us. And I had the bullhorn, I was screaming, I was doing all of that
You
stuff.
did?
I did, I
Wow,
protested.
well done.
So after that happened, but to kind of your point, it was more like, but the leaders of this protest were actually all females, black females. But I'm thinking, how much credit did they get? Because actually on that day, the person they were hearing and hearing was me and other people with the loud voices here and there. And it just goes to show that maybe there has been a little bit of a neglect in terms of the contribution that women have played, not just with BLM, even though that is, I believe the founders are women for that, if I'm not mistaken, but just throughout history, because, you know, MLK and all these different great people, I do believe that there were other prominent women that were following them, you know, not just following them, but contributing heavily to that. Even like, you know, women that even sang for MLK, you know, to get motivation to even go do big speeches and whatnot. And if you're going to bring it theologically as well, even with Christ's movement, there was so many women that contributed to the success of his ministry. Monetarily, you know, woman was the first person that went to the tomb to see the, you know, just so many pivotal moments. So I think for me is, you know, I'm quite intrigued by that theological aspect, but I'm also kind of seeing in my movement as a preacher, how more can I be more inclusive?
Yeah.
But not only just inclusive, but also how much more has, you know, just to give that stage and give that voice to women that have been so prominent in ministry, but also just in all aspects of life. So yeah, I'm very glad you brought that book.
Yeah.
because I'm out here like thinking about so many
Fascinating.
things. So that will be my experience.
Fantastic. What do you think? Yeah.
I'm thinking of a lot of things. This morning I was listening to two women leaders. The one was Mia Mottley, who is the current Prime Minister of Barbados. And she was speaking to the UN, and she was telling them that we don't need handouts. We just need the right support. So the support and control that you have on the Caribbean countries, we need you to let go of that so we can breathe and do what we need to do. And I was also listening to, I can't remember her name, her last name is Bayo, but she is the first lady to the president or prime president of Sierra Leone. And she sat and she was talking to say what was happening with Africa, the continent, because it's not a country, guys. And she was saying, I don't get paid to do this. You cannot sack me, you cannot fire me. But the way how she was talking, she was powerful. Another person that comes to mind, which in England I realize they don't like her so much, is Nelson Mandela's wife, Winnie.
Yeah.
And I saw how she led, and she was very focused to the end. She made a lot of mistakes, but who didn't as a leader? But hers were never pardoned. And I look at all of that. Then I come to our church and I see very strong women in our churches. And what they are being made to do is things that they're not particularly interested in, like the Sabbath school teaching the class with kids and all. It's like they're set rules for people to do. And I feel like the men in our society, if we're going to talk about, let's start at home, yeah? Let's talk about the black men. I feel like the men in our society, they're happy for us to do the good things, to lay the table, lay the path. But when it's all done, like you said, they organize, then they called you. So we organize and then push them at the front and the credit is given there. And that is something that I struggle with in being a black woman. When I go to the workplace, I'm very instrumental. I'll do a lot, but I recognize my skills, my gifts, my talent, and I don't hide it, unlike some people. And I realize that sometimes it's being taken advantage of because historically that's the trend that has been set. And that is the same thing. Vantage point again. Jim and James. Black women are strong people. Most of us, especially those who have gone through something. It's not to discredit those who are married and in families. They're strong in a different sense. But some of us are coming from places where we've gone through something, and it makes us a little bit tougher. But that respect, I believe, is not there. So I'm going to buy a copy of that book because I'm now intrigued to know what's the story. And I would like to know from the audience, to be honest, what's your take on it? As women, Black women, I think you're sort of, it's focusing on that. And when I look at Hagar, I've always thought that Hagar was abused, if I wish to be frank. She was taken advantage of. Can you imagine your mistress come and say, oh, go lay down with my husband and give me a son, and that's your body. So I always look at it like that, and this is the first time I'm hearing it from the vantage point of your book and the discussion. So I just thought, even from then, these things were going on. How do we view us today? Can we get recognition for what we're doing today? Will they listen to Mia Mottley asking that the Caribbean be free? With the men in the Caribbean back her, support her? Will we look at the work of Winnie Mandela? Yes, she made a mistake. Yes, she has served time for it. But will we look at and focus at what good she has done? A case in point, I'm going to bring that up. I know it's not going to be nice, but I'm going to bring it up. A case in point, when Nelson Mandela died, he left nothing for her. For a woman who spent 27 years fighting your cause while you were in prison, she had nothing. There were people who come to remove bits of furniture from her house because she didn't pay her grandchildren's school fee. That's a strong woman who led the revolution from which South Africa is benefiting. So if you want me to continue, I will just keep going because I'm quite passionate about this.
I get it. I wanted you to finish. I don't want to interrupt you. So the thing that I wanted to find out was that you said that women are being put in positions, for example, in the church where they're not doing things that they want to do. Could you elaborate on that? I mean, what do you mean? What are things?
I would think they're not encouraged to. First of all, I've seen, and this is my opinion, guys, my opinion, not the opinion of. I noticed that whenever we have female pastors, there's a level of disrespect given to some that I've seen from the congregation. And I think it can be because their male counterparts don't see that role as being valid. And instead of supporting that, they might step back. They don't say anything, but by simply not doing anything, they are voicing their opinions. I have seen female pastors who have gone to the breaking point of having a bit of mental health issue because of all the pressures. And I noticed that women on the whole are being encouraged to do the nurturing aspect of the church. The church clerk, the Sabbath school teacher role, and I don't know, but that's my observation. And I strongly believe, and I don't just think, I believe it, and I've seen it in action. I've seen where our women have stood up to the occasion, do what needs to get done, and then I see them step back and put the men forward. And I'm just thinking, what is that? And I do have experiences myself where I battle with my fellow church members simply because I don't want to go teach Sabbath school. I do it and I do it well, but I have a leadership quality in me. Where in this church do I fit? Where in this congregation? And it's not just church. At home, there are 5 of us. I'm the girl. My brother, who is the eldest, he has a dominant spirit, and that's okay. So he sees himself as in charge and take care of the family. But I'm not that sister. So you see, where do women who are a bit stronger, where do we fit?
So I'm going to ask you a bit of question, because some of the things that this has come out,
it's a lot. You started it.
A lot of people have come out with, that there's a disconnect between feminism.
Yes.
And Christianity. I mean, when you said about Sabbath school, so that the viewers understand, Sabbath school is like Bible study. You read, you prepare,
Thanks
and
for
plan,
clarifying that.
and then you do a Bible study.
Yeah.
And then you have a teacher that goes through it. But going back to, I've heard a lot of feedback, especially online, about women that Christianity and feminism are not compatible. That's what I've heard. In the terms of what the actual documentations or what they believe in and what is being said, and how the man is the head of the house. I'm just throwing it out there because people are throwing this out, and I don't mind, Stephen, you jumping in and helping me here. But this is where some people said, well, you can't have this feminism thing and then have Christianity, because it almost like it's incompatible. Do you think so, Stephen?
I think people have an idea of what feminism is, and they say that can't be compatible with Christianity.
So when you say that,
so I personally think that feminism is compatible with Christianity. I think certain parts of Christianity are not compatible with feminism.
So what would you define? What would you? Because you're saying that how they would define. So, what would you define feminism? What would be feminism for somebody that wants to know what that really is?
Yeah. So feminism is based around the whole concept of equality. It's not about a gender being, one gender being better than another gender. It literally, at its core, is about an equality, and how what a man is capable of doing within society. There shouldn't be any blocks to a woman being able to do the same. Now that doesn't mean that a woman has to go and do that, but it does mean that there shouldn't be anything in the way to stop a woman from being able to do so. But the problem that we've seen throughout human history, long before feminism was ever a term, is that blocks have always been in the way. And so, that's all that. I mean, there are strands to feminism that might go down maybe a more extremist route of kind of like, women have to rule. But it's, I don't know. I think that's a minority. I don't think that's a real aspect to feminism. I mean, maybe I shouldn't even be explaining feminism. It's just occurring to me right now. So I mean, where this will clash with Christianity is the concept of things like headship theology, where man is head of the house, and so on and so forth. And this is all stuff that kind of stems from like Calvinism and all those kind of trains of thought. But within the denomination I'm part of, so I'm a pastor in the Adventist Church, headship theology is not actually part of our denomination's teaching. It gets taught within our denomination, but as an institution, it's not part of our belief system.
Interesting.
And so feminism walks hand in hand, really, with where Adventism theologically believes. We are a priesthood of all believers. Now, I say that with, while also saying that while as an institution we have certain things in place that, we still, everything feeds into what we do as humans, like our culture, our outside influences, other forms of belief in regards to Christianity, what we're consuming as Christians, a whole bunch of things will feed into that. And so, while I'm saying, as an institution, the practice may still differ to what the institution actually holds. And so, so for me, I don't see feminism clashing with my biblical understanding of the way God would like humanity to be. I don't see there being a clash. I see there being a clash with the way God would like humanity to be when it comes to patriarchy. I think that clashes. And this does come out in the book that I was just, this lovely book that I was just sharing. If you want some of your patriarchal heroes of the faith to be challenged, this is the book to read. Your King Davids and your Moseses, and they're not as clean cut as you might like. And when you start to see the stories in the way that they engage with women, it's like, oh my goodness.
But as a cultural thing, isn't it? It was what happens at that time. Are we still there?
Yeah, but even within their culture and in their time, there are actions that took place which did not need to take place.
Okay.
Right.
100%.
So would you say, when you say that the culture, so it was in that practice back then, I'm gonna ask you, Stephen, where you had servants, and you could have the servants have children. Is that something?
Servants is a kind term, but yes.
So, okay. Do you want me to use the word slave?
Yeah.
Definitely slaves.
That's what they were.
So slaves. So if you have slaves, you were able to get them to have children. Is that not something that you felt that even though it was allowed, you don't think that it should have been done? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking from like the 21st century, so no, I don't think it should have been done. But if I was to be an Israelite in Israel, I mean, my answer would depend upon what character I was within that story. So if I'm a female slave in a household, I'm pretty sure my answer is going to be no. That shouldn't be what happens. If I'm the master within the household, it'd be yes.
Of course.
But not always. Because, even within the biblical stories where the cultural practice is okay, there are still people that don't do it.
Who was different? Yes.
No, that's okay.
Because the only person I can think of, it's racing through my mind. The only thing I thought about Esther, and how she became queen, and what she had to do to, become queen. And then I thought about Boaz, who diligently was patient with Ruth and sorted out everything the right way. But they weren't slaves. They were more like, for Ruth, it was more like a family member. A widow. And for Esther, it's a little bit trickier because
It's her uncle, wasn't it?
Yeah, but in relation to the Persian king, that would have been slavery. But I don't know who. I'm trying to think.
I mean, even with Ruth, it's a little bit more problematic than that. So, yeah, the problem is that our Bible translations are very sanitized.
Exactly.
And so, when it comes to things like sex and slavery and all those kind of things, it's like, I mean, it's mentioned, but it's very coded.
Yes, it is.
And so we don't really get what the ancient authors are actually saying a lot of the time. So when in the story of Ruth, when it's talking about like Boaz and the uncovering of his feet, this is all sexual conversation.
They are.
This is all sexual conversation going on, and the same thing's happening in Esther. Esther, along with however many girls it was they gathered across the kingdom, all of them spend time with the king before they're a wife. And even the ones that didn't become the wife, they still remain in the palace. They don't go home.
No, they stay there because they've been with the king.
Yeah, they're there now. That's their life.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he may never see them again either after that.
Yeah. And he might never visit them.
And nobody else, they can never marry either because that's it. Because once you've been with the king like that, that's it.
Done.
Exactly. And so, and this takes place with King David. So King David is promised the oldest daughter of Saul, and they end up not being married, but because she was promised, when David becomes king, he takes her from her husband. And the story says that her husband follows the servant who took his wife all the way to the palace. And then I can't remember whether it's David or whether it's the servant that basically says to the husband, like, this is embarrassing, go home. And the husband has to go home without his wife. But King David never visits that lady. Never visits her. She spends the rest of her time in the palace on her own. That's her life.
Yeah. And that's similar to some of the Asian culture, like in Japan and so on. Interesting. Very.
What do you think, Bright?
Wow. But I still am asking the question for the leaders among the women, especially women, black women. I don't want a woman to call it black women. Is there a place for us? Where do we fit in the whole environment? Do we have to keep fighting?
When you say fit,
in terms of the gifts that we have, the gifts of leadership, the gifts of strength, is it well, I don't even want to bring that up. Let's leave that there. But where do we see ourselves in our churches? Do our people see us as leaders there? Where do we see ourselves in our communities? Where do we see ourselves in these different cultures from our own? Where we come from, wherever we are, we here, we work, and we have proven ourselves time and time again. And my concern for us is that we'll continue to be exploited, and that's exactly how I see it. I could be wrong.
I think it's a bit extreme to put down exploit. I don't think black women are being exploited. I think what it is that I think a woman will be a woman. So if there's some women don't want to be leaders. I mean, the definition that I think Stephen put, which was the fact that it's more about barriers, and I agree with that original context, because that's what feminism was, is that you have an option, you have a choice whether to stay at home and be a mother or go out and work, and whatever it is that you choose, there isn't anything that is stopping you either way to become those things. And I think it's more about the barriers rather than the fact that black women want to be strong or have to be a leader, because I think there is a place for everybody, and I think there's a place for, and I don't even think it's a colour thing. I think it's across the board.
No, it's only because we started with the book. I focus there.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
With Hagar. But I just think that for me, I don't see it. I see it as there are going to be challenges. You're going to come across challenges. People are going to put barriers in your way, and I think it's about how you handle that situation, how you manage that. And also I think it's about not being reliant on other people to give you the opportunities that you need. I think that there has to be a mind shift,
Flip the script,
Pardon?
Flip the script.
Flip the script, yeah. Don't feel like you have to be the one that you have to wait around and let somebody else give you the opportunity. I think there has to be some form of self-actualization that allows you to say, because Hagar was like, she's out in the desert. She could just lay down there and just died, but she didn't. And for me, there is something to be said about that story, But what do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think a lot has been shared. And you know what's crazy is I have like multiple thoughts. Every time Stephen was speaking. But now
have to
it's
pull
all
them
out.
Yeah.
It's just good stuff.
Yes.
I feel like I'm in school again. It's great. I do want to say that I have so many thoughts. Okay, in terms of, is there a place for the women? I'm a guy, I'm a man, right? But in terms of that, I have a lot of friends and role models that are black women, and they are killing the game in terms of their profession.
Are they being recognized for it though?
100%. So I was with my friend yesterday. She's a doctor, right? And we were talking about her practice right now, what she's doing, and how it's difficult, how she's trying to manage her time. I'm constantly inspired by her, and she inspired that, I'm a pastor, young minister. So we were talking. I have many females, black females that are in my life that are just killing the game. Entrepreneurs, businesswomen, all of that. And they are, not that are they getting recognized for it, they kind of have this self-intuition that I recognize myself, you know what I'm saying? So I don't need to applaud them because they do it for themselves, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, that's just the people that I know. They'll be like, you can come and applaud me if you want, but I've been applauding myself.
I'm about my business, basically. I'm standing on business.
So for me, so I feel like they're definitely, in terms of society, in terms of the workplace, Brad, before I came to the ministry, I worked for the council, and my boss, she was half Caribbean, half Nigerian, as a manager in a council, killing the game, like, you know what I'm saying? So I've seen that in society. In terms of the church, I'm not gonna get in the whole women's
Or leave that alone.
But when I was in America predominantly, I saw a lot of even black women preachers within our denomination just killing the game, just like having officers preaching, pastoring, and different things. So for me, I have no, how do you call it, qualms. I have no issues with that because I'm surrounded by successful women every day, like, and even successful black women as well. And to me, I'm always engaging with them in having that conversation. So.
But I mean, I have to ask you, Brian.
Yeah.
So you're surrounded by these women, right? Could you see yourself married to a successful woman like that? Would that be intimidating? Yes, I had to ask you because you know what? It's one thing. It's one thing. You know what? One thing about it is that a lot of men will say, "Oh, it's great. I've got lots of successful women, and they can could do this and they could do that.
And you
But
could-
actually, when it comes to marrying one or being with someone like that,
Uh-huh.
that's not what happens. They go for the exact opposite. So
Interesting.
what is that, Brian? What's your thoughts
And
on
what
that?
and what about
Explain yourself.
Yeah. And what about the pay as well? If you do equal work, do we get equal pay? Evidence is there to suggest otherwise. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, no, but I mean, that's one point, and the other point is if she was earning more than you.
Oh, I wouldn't mind. That's fine.
You don't
I
have a
love
problem.
that. No. Please bring in the bread. Like, I have no issue with that.
Yeah,
in terms of the pay
what
aspect,
you say.
in terms of the pay aspect, I don't mind, honey. If you want to bring in double amount, it's okay. Like, do your thing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean, I don't know why guy will. I know I can guess like the ego thing.
Yeah,
You know, my woman actually be.
Yeah.
And no, we're in 2024. Okay, like whatever you want to do, fine. In terms of actually being with one, that's a tricky one. I think for me, maybe real honest here. I think for me is that there has been some hesitations in the past.
Oh, but she's really?
There has
Why?
been. That I don't know. I think for me, it's like I've kind of measured my success, and some of these women that I'm speaking, sometimes I feel like I need 2 years, 3 years to kind of like be there in terms of on par with them. That doesn't mean that they're not like close with my circle, but I'm just like, nah, I feel like she's killing the game right now. I need a year more, like to kill the game more before I can be, you know. But I realized that even when I do speak to some of these females, that's not how they're thinking.
No.
Predominantly, then they're like, do you have a job? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's start there. Like, are you taking care of yourself? You know what I'm saying? Are you outside of your parents' house? Let's start there. You know, and I actually feel like they may see me as more successful than I actually accredit myself to. And I actually feel like, but I don't know, just my circle, the guys that I'm in, we're always like trying to go above and beyond and always trying to be more successful and whatnot, you know.
But if it's not for money, for example, so
Yeah.
Brian, you said you don't have a problem.
Yeah, 100% all day.
About her earning more money.
Yeah,
than you.
it's not-
However, you have a problem. So, but it to me, it's sort of linked to money.
No, it's not about money. It's more about
conflicting?
career. It's more about careers.
Yeah.
It's more about development. It's more about how far like advanced a little bit are you. Because so for me, for example, ministry just started not too long ago, but and for them a little bit as well. But like sometimes I just feel like, man, they're kind of like a little bit more advanced in that area. And for me, I just like to be probably a little bit more advanced as well, to be on that kind of level playing field. I may be chatting stuff that's not making sense, but for me, I just want to be a little bit more established, a little bit more. Not that I can't talk to them because I'm talking to them right now, but to like make the move, to like really make the move. I just want to be a little more established then in terms of that area. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but
What do you think, Stephen?
Well, I can see what you're saying. You know.
I think he's gonna try and translate it.
Yeah, I mean, quite often, you know, things like that are down to like when you're wanting to live a life with someone, you kind of want to be in a space that you mutually journey life together. And so if you're out, like, I don't know, I maybe you could compare it to like, you know, I've just finished my A levels, but she's completed a master's, you know, or a PhD.
That's a big gap.
You know, am I advanced enough? I don't know, probably not. You know.
So that's the level. That's the sort of,
But that could be how it's viewed. Do you see? Like, it might not be the reality
actually,
though.
but it's like the comparison, right?
Yeah. I think for me it's like it's not really about advancing. It's not like am I where she's at. It's more of a personal thing. It's more like I want to be more advanced in my own career, professional development before I move, especially if I've got an eye on someone before I go and reach out. That's just me.
But when you say advance, what does advance? What is a tangible advancement that you're talking about?
Like-
Because you're a newbie pastor. Yeah.
Newbie.
And you right? So what would that be? What, you want to be a senior pastor before you can actually make a move, or you know?
I can make a move whenever I want.
Right.
I can do that.
Confident.
But yeah, I can do that. That's not an issue. I just when I make a move, I just want to be more, I guess, advanced in my career. I'm probably more advanced in Yeah, just me personally, just personally development. There's certain no, listen to me. Before you shoot a messenger, there are certain goals that I've put before myself. There's certain goals that I have put by myself.
But can't you do that together?
Exactly.
We can, but I want to do this on my own.
Okay.
I want to achieve. There's certain personal goals that I've put for myself.
Okay.
Personal development,
Right.
career development, all these things that I want to achieve and like have for me myself before I guess I go into something with someone. And I'm hoping that that person as well is
available.
doing, no, not just available. Well, fingers crossed.
By the time you finish what you're doing.
But at the same time, but also on the journey as well. I just feel like there is an important part of your singleness, of your just being by yourself or whatnot, in just advancing and development as well. I feel like sometimes we skip that essential part where the singleness plays a role, and it plays a critical role. And I feel like sometimes we jump in to be with someone, and yes, you can do that together, help each other out. But I feel like there needs to be a solid season of just development, just working on your craft, wherever that be, personal development, career development, all of that stuff. Not to say that will not continue when you find someone, but I'm saying that I feel like you have a sureness of who you really are, in that sense, and that kind of what you bring to the table once that decision is made. That's how I kind of see it, and yeah.
That ties in. That ties in though with what you were sharing.
Yes.
No.
That's what.
So you were talking about the 5 stages of life.
Yes.
Yeah. This ties in with
This
that.
ties in.
Oh,
You're right.
Yeah.
Because sorry, I'll let you explain it. Sorry, I'll let you
Well,
explain.
you know more about the 5 stages of life.
I'm just thinking is that I think the 5 stages of life occur naturally, but from your vantage point, I'm trying to see it. It's you have come up through your parents' house, you have gotten educated, but there's a bit more you think you need to do for yourself before you can be with someone.
That I want to do.
That you
It's
want
not, it's
to,
not a need.
but you don't need to do it.
Yeah.
But you want to.
No, I want to do it.
It's your own targets.
Yeah, it's my
Yeah.
own
Goals
it's my,
and
yeah,
aspirations.
it's my
Key
own.
performance indicators, KPIs. Your own
Man.
KPIs.
Yeah, it's and I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking Spanish here, but I feel like I don't know. I just feel like with the soccer that I'm in, there's more of that. Like with my group, with my, I don't know. I think there needs
Group of what or who?
Peers,
Yes, I
might
know.
be
peers, with my circles, with my friends. So I just feel like there needs to be more of like, I don't know, just kind of that development that you can have as a guy, like to
Right.
just be like, yo, I don't. For me, like I wake up with motivation. Like I
Right.
got stuff to achieve. I got stuff to do. You know what I'm saying? And I've been achieving it, right?
Right.
And I just feel like, I don't know. To me, that's really inspiring. That's really attractive for me personally to just achieve that. And I'm saying, and that's why I keep saying that. I just hope there are other female counterparts as well that are also on that, because when I talk about friends as well, they are serious about their game as well. You know what I'm saying? Relationship happens, it happens, but it's to complement what journey you're already on.
Right.
It is not supposed to undermine it in any way, shape, or form.
So in other words, you would date and marry a strong woman when the time is right.
100%. I have no qualms about that. Yeah, 100%. Like it's
We
just
came round.
Yeah. It's just, yeah.
We got there. We got there, yeah.
100%. I just want to be the best version of myself as I can possibly be with my own goals that I have. You know.
That is very current.
So, what is your subject matter today?
Oh, it's actually bleeding into what I was going to talk about. That's why I was like, has everyone been reading my phone?
Yeah, man.
My subject, it's all relationships, basically. I've been to 2 weddings in the past 3 weeks, one in America and one in the UK. And being a young adult minister, the conversation of relationships has been coming up lately.
Have they been asked you in the past when you getting married?
No, not that. They've been asking for themselves, is there a particular one?
Right.
Is there a one? Is there one? So that's been coming up a lot.
Right.
Is there a one? I'm like, bro, I don't know. Like, you know, but I think that's been coming up because I'm in a predominantly, I've been to different churches. I've pastored different churches. I've pastored a mixed community church. I've pastored a predominantly, Caribbean churches, and now I'm pastoring predominantly African / Ghanaian churches, right? So there's been a lot of conversation about culture, playing a role in terms of if you're going to find a significant other, and parents, same faith. Now, I guess with the generation, the young people I'm pastoring, there's a broadening scope of like, do they even need to be Seventh-Adventists? Can they just be a Christian? Can we just settle on that? And also, do we have to come from the same place? Or do we, because we live especially in London, we live in a multicultural city, and predominantly the people that they are meeting at uni are not necessarily from where they're from. It could be, someone from Asia or someone from Caribbean, whatnot. And they're coming back and, they're still single and whatnot because of, quote unquote, what they've been brought up in the church, what their parents have taught them. But they're also seeing that, but I think I'm compatible with this person. And
who's not necessarily in the faith, but there might be different.
There might be different race, different culture, maybe even different denomination and whatnot, right? And the question that's been coming up a lot to me is there a one? Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why I wanted to come and talk to you all about. I don't know.
Go on,
right. So Steve, what do you think about that? Is there one?
Oh man. Okay.
I mean, how long have you been married now for?
So it will be 14 years in June.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, and we have a multicultural family. So my wife, her parents are Indonesian. My sister's husband from a Pakistani family. My brother married a Brazilian. And currently, well, that didn't work out, and he's now dating a really nice lady from Moldova, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully I got that right. Yeah, my mum's Portuguese, my dad's British.
Right.
So it's like we're are we covering all of the content? I don't know.
Getting close.
Yeah. We're getting there. We'll get there. But it's. Yeah, so the question for the what? I don't know. That's a difficult one to answer because, we're so limited in the scope of what we can even see to even have an answer for that. I mean, I know that in Christian tradition the answer is yes. Like God has set someone, where's my Boaz? Like, yeah, but, that kind of thing. But then it's like, well, would that then be like, where's my Ruth? But then Ruth was married before that, so how was that marriage then not valid? Not what she was meant. Is that why he died? You got to start asking them, is that the answer? Is that where we go with that? So I don't know. I think the answer is I don't know.
That's fair.
And also the fact that Ruth wasn't even a part of the culture. That would be
that's
another thing. So she wasn't, but she was not part of the culture. So that's another question. So does that mean that shouldn't have happened? And also the fact that even someone like Esther, who married a Persian king from a different culture and would that have been something that actually should be said if somebody this day and age would be saying you shouldn't marry that king because he's not part of that, because she was brought up by her uncle, which means that she was brought up by a specific culture, Israeli culture. I mean, when you think about it, she married somebody that was outside the faith, and I'm not saying that you should do that.
Well,
but
she
I'm
didn't
saying
have much of a choice, though, did she?
Well, I don't know if it's like you said, there is choice and there is choice, but it's about how do you balance that? Because even with that, some people say if you haven't got a choice, even that concept, they say I'd rather die than go through something that they think that is going to go against the God that they serve. Does that make sense? So you've got a lot of examples of people in the Bible saying I'm not going to do that because it goes against my God. And some of them could face death. I mean, Daniel said he wasn't going to eat those food. He could have died for that. But he said no, I'm not doing it. And he spoke to not even the king, the servants. Let me prove to you. But people will say rather be, and I say die, and I'm putting the context of this time. People say, well, rather be single and not have anybody than be with somebody who's, do you know what I'm saying? So
that's an option.
You know what I'm saying? So people say, we'll throw that, and I'm not saying that's the right way, but we have to throw and explore those things. I mean, is there a one, Claudia? Do you think there is a one?
Well, I'll tell you a little scenario. My friend sent her daughter off to school to do medicine, and she is brilliant, ace in the game all the way through, came out top tier. She brought home a young man whose Hastie's game top tier is wrong race, quotation, wrong social standing,
Is that
quotation.
Is that for your friend?
I'll clarify. Wrong social standing, in quotation, and the disappointment on my friend's face when she's talking about it. And as I am listening to her, she made me question our relationship because I'm also of a different race, a different social background, and I'm sitting there listening and thinking, oh, what's happened? But she's not thinking like that. But is there a one for her daughter? She had someone for her daughter, but that's not where her daughter's heart is. And what I learned over time was just to listen and let her soundbite. Don't take anything personal, because it was challenging when she hit me with it at first, because I started to see which is she, but I just realized that she was genuinely venting to a friend. And she's beginning to learn now that she has taught her daughter well, and she must trust her child to make a decision for herself. And if you look at everything else, everything is okay. Funnily enough, the young man's mother was just all welcoming. And to be honest, she would have more right, given the society that we live in, to say no. But it hasn't happened. Is there a one? I haven't a clue. But if you do find someone, we just need to shake a few things off, because the society that we live in now, it's not all African, all European, or it's very mixed here in London. It's very, and even in Jamaica, where I'm from, the motto is out of many, one people. You find every nationality and race, color and creed there. And so you might find a Seventh-day Adventist marrying a Rastafarian, and it works for them. Or, you just find people from different background coming together, meeting in the most unlikely of places, on a plane, in airports, total different culture, and whatever caused them to come together, So I'm not going to say to people there is a one, because I don't know. Maybe your one can come and pass and that's it for you. But just be open. Just think, and it's not just in our places of worship, our family and our homes. Look around and see what our kids are exposed to and what opportunities are there. Because sometimes the persons who you're expecting your daughters and your son to bring home and expecting more from is the person who's going to give you least. And where you're expecting nothing at all, sometimes that's where you will get all the blessings.
Right, so Claudia, you said something there, but
yes,
and I'm gonna push back a little bit,
Push.
because there is a system where you've seen in the Asian culture where there's like arranged marriages or even discussions, even in the African culture where you're not just marrying the individual, for example.
You're marrying the family.
You're marrying the family. So with that comes with responsibility and thought, and it's seen as respectful to have some kind of engagement with the family, and and it's not about not trusting your child, but more about there is certain things that as a family, we as a collective are going to like we have a saying or some kind of or midrash, commentary.
Yes. Word of the week.
Right. So it's that context. So it's not that you're enforcing something, but what are your thoughts on? Because sometimes without the input, a lot of people don't have, what do I say, the experience or the maturity. They think they know, and they don't know. So they do need support, and not just at the beginning of decision making, but also throughout the process.
Yeah, I believe that cultures that have something in place for ensuring that their younger generation are getting married, I think it's brilliant. We are not in that culture here, and if you are from that culture and you come in this environment, the influence of the Western world, I'll put it in quotation, has made its mark. Some people will decide to go away from it. And I think where my friend's daughter is concerned, she was respectful enough to bring this person home. She prepped her mom, brought him home, and she knew it was against the grain of the culture. But she still went about it in what I thought was an honorable and diplomatic way. I think it was a shock of it. So I'm not saying there needs to be things that are enforced, because when I look in my community, we could do with some arranged marriages, because we could do with some encouragement of the men to commit, but that's not the culture we are in, and it doesn't happen. So where it does, it has its plus, and it's especially good when the union has been formed and things are not going well. Then the families come together and put the young people back on track again, and so on. A support system is good, but we're not talking about the support system. We're just talking about, is there a one? Where's that one going to come from? And although you have that culture and all of that there, your one may not come from there. That's how I see it. So I'm a bit open-minded when it comes to that, especially when I'm living in a diverse entity.
I guess that throws in another question then, like who chooses who's the one? Because like if in the culture it's the families coming to, then they've kind of chosen the one. In the Western world, we're very much based around individualism, and so obviously we choose the one, but which one of us ones chooses? Do I choose or does she choose? I mean, my marriage, she chose. So.
Explain.
Yeah. Well, I'm introverted. I'm not going to do anything.
So you're my husband.
Yeah. So
at least you're honest. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my wife's an extrovert. And so she led the relationship. I did some leading along the way, but we wouldn't be together if it wasn't for her. So I guess she chose that I was the one. I don't know.
I think she made a move and you accepted.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting. I feel like that's what makes, exactly what Steve was saying is what makes it difficult to answer that question, because especially if we live in a multicultural city and most of our parents are immigrants and they've had children in this here and they are living in this culture and kind of adopting the West values, the British values. There's going to be a clash there.
Of course.
So especially when they go to uni and they feel like they can conquer the world and they come back home, culture has not changed. You know what I'm saying? Culture is still consistent. Like, no matter, I don't care how much PhDs you got, how much degrees you got, this is home.
You're still Kwame.
Exactly. You're still
Come and eat some fries.
Like,
This is where Jim is actually Jim.
Jim, you know what I'm saying? Jim, you still Jim. I don't care whether they call you James,
or doctor.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's a big role, and I feel like if there could be any headway being done, it takes a conversation.
Yeah.
It takes and even multiple conversations.
It does.
To acknowledge both parties and to not really demonize culture from home, neither to demonize how the West do things, but to actually have a conversation. Well, how can there be a middle ground here? Because you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you're saying that the family got to choose. And I don't want you guys choosing for me in anything, you know what I'm saying?
Right. What I'm saying to you is that it's not about the family choosing, but it's a collective.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you get the support, don't you? There's a buy-in from everybody. I'll call it like shareholders. Like
buy relationship.
Go on, girl, talk it.
They have a take 25%. I like to invest 25% in that. Yeah.
Right. So a business. And look at it like, and I don't want to be, I don't understand like it's not romantic, but if you was to look at it from a business point of view, right?
All right.
So you're gonna have the most assured things. You're gonna look at certain things. If you're gonna buy a business or start a business, there's certain things you're gonna look at that's gonna give you data. Almost like that gives you strategic data ahead of time, right? And one of the things that, from a marriage point of view, or finding the one, strategically, what people say, and what I'm going to say is that disparity can be a conflict. When you have too many disparities within a relationship, And I don't think that's explained very well. Culturally, or in sort of maybe in Christian, and possibly why they say what they say. And I think they don't explain disparities. And there's different disparities. There's age disparities that needs to be considered, because having disparities doesn't stop you being able to be the one and to work and to move forward. It's understanding those disparities and being able to manage that and work through that, because those disparities, they might be minor. At the beginning, when it's all love and you're hazy and you're like, oh, I love this person. But as things go on and you are married to this person, some of these disparities become more prominent and become more of an issue than it was at the beginning, because that haze is no longer there, right? You're getting up every day. That person ain't brushed their teeth yet, so you're talking to them with their breath smelling, and that lovey-dovey ain't there no more. So you've got to be able to deal with those disparities. It could be age, it could be financial disparity, race is another one, culture disparities. And I think
100%.
what it's about is looking at the different disparities and having to be managing that and managing your expectations, because a lot of things, what happens with a lot of marriages, I think, is that, and what I think, if I've looked at the data and you look at what has been written and so forth, it tells you that a lot of divorces, it's not because of, people say it's finance and infidelity and all that stuff, but the major thing really is not managed expectations. Expectations that have not been managed, right? And sometimes those expectations have not even been communicated. Sometimes it's like, I've got these expectations in my head, right? And you haven't met them, but I've never told you about it, or we never really discussed it, but maybe it was a bit sensitive or certain things. And so that is what sometimes they say that when I look at the counselling data, breaks a lot of marriages. But lack of marriage expectations, and that comes into disparity. And so it's those things that needs to be really managed, rather than thinking, is there one? Can I actually build a life with this person? When it comes to me having a conversation and being honest, my authentic self, not do I have to code switch just to have a conversation? Because what I really want to say can't be said to this person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. Do you know what I'm saying? These are things that these are authentic things, because I say to people, your house is your home, and it's a place that you're supposed to have peace, right? And you are going to be out there and you'll be working, doing whatever you're doing, and it's not always going to be peaceful out there, but your house has to have some semblance of peace. And if you don't have that, and what does peace do? Peace is, you have to be able to communicate honestly, truthfully. Yeah, you have to be able to deal with any kind of issues and communicate. There's a whole host of things, and expectations is one of the biggest things, because what happens with a lot of people is you have your expectations. You met somebody at uni, you think they're great, they think you're great, but exactly what is it that they expect from you long term?
But that's what the conversations would be about, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but sometimes you have these. Sometimes people don't have these conversations, and sometimes those conversations are not truthful conversations.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And so when you don't have those truthful conversations, you then get into a place where now you're in a place where the actual truth is coming out, because the truth will always come out. It doesn't matter whether you talk about it or not. It will present itself. And so it becomes a problem. And so when they say to you, oh, we want you to marry from your culture, do this, do that, sometimes it's not explained well. What they're trying to say is that I think you have to find somebody, despite all of these things, that has the same values as you.
Yeah, but right? so do the family members. They also have to have those values, because you can have two people who are quite compatible from different culture. They're quite compatible, and they're figuring it out. But if they have family members who are adamant against it, the support is not there from day dot. There's going to be a strain. And sometimes that's where the problem is. It's not that they haven't found the one, it's that they have found the one, but the family members or the people around them who are supposed to be supported have withdrawn or refused to offer that support. And so these things that you talk about now, if they do push and get married under that strain without it being resolved everywhere, then every time something goes wrong that they didn't see before and they didn't pick up, then all of that, and you hear the family member, I told you, but there was no support there from day dot. So when I hear the word finding the one, I'm not thinking just about I'm not thinking arranged marriage only, because that's an entity, and I find it interesting, and I do see where it has have worked. I think about the family support, which I think is a mega. Even if you're not in agreement, let's see how it goes and let them ride it out. You can still give your opinion, but let them figure it out as young people. And sometimes they figure it out much better knowing that they have support on either side, and it will work out. I'll give you a case in point. I attended a friend's wedding. The same country, from Nigeria. He's black, he's a doctor, and his wife is Indian who have moved to Nigerian first generation. She's a doctor. At the wedding, it was predominantly the man's family and friends around. At the wedding, her side was just her mother and her dad. And as soon as the official rites were done, the mother had a headache. She went upstairs, and that was just the rest of us. So we realized as member of the audience that we had to support. We had to just make it an everybody thing. In one sense, it's sad. In the other sense, they follow their heart. They've been friends since medical school, and his family was okay, but her family remained unsupportive. And these, would I say there, when you look at each one, would I look at her and say he's not the one? Because dad and mom, and the only problem for them was he's the right in terms of brilliance, social standing, and what he's doing for a profession. He's just the wrong race. That is the only thing. And they're happily married now. But they have decided to take themselves and come here to England and just give everybody a breathing space so that they can find each other. Do they have challenges? Yes, they do. Because without that support, they were so busy focusing on being together that some things that are important, they failed to address them. But what they did not do was give up. So they did the counseling and they do whatever it is that they need to do to address. And I thought that was, in one sense, I applaud them. In the other sense, I thought it's sad. So when you're talking about the support and so on, sometimes people are just plain downright selfish. Hold on to your tradition, and we see that same situation in many different forms. It doesn't have to be in wedding relationship. It could be just friendship. You don't want your kids to talk to those people, or you see it in so many different ways. So finding the one, for me, you got to be open, and you got to know what it is you want. And when I said open, learn how to know what you want, understand yourself, what will fit for you. If it means to talk to somebody, get some counseling, whatever. When you understand where you are at, look for the qualities, not the race, not the culture, look for the qualities. And I believe, this is my personal belief, that it will be drawn to you if there's a one for you.
Okay.
I did want to say one thing, just to, I think that the young people that, ask me these questions, it's like, I think we got to give them more credit than like, these people have been able to go to uni, crack their brains, go degree out, bachelor's, master's, they're running stuff, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to relationships, it's like, you cannot make that decision, you know what I'm saying? And I just feel like that's where we have to give them a little more credit. And I feel like just as their parents needed to decide for themselves, you can guide, you can support, you can assist, but don't be dominant in that. Right. You know what I'm saying?
So that counsel, basically.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I feel like that's why they're asking me, because I feel like they're like, yo, I really
like this person.
I'm planning to make some moves in my life. The only barrier is not my bank account. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
The only barrier is not my bank account. It's everyone else, and I feel like because of that, because I think with what your point was saying is that if the two actually kind of know what you're getting to, I mean, I get it, like they're probably going to learn and, make mistakes and whatnot. But I think there is that surety that needs to be developed in the people themselves. Because I've also seen marriages and I've witnessed other marriages. In which people?
The person's looking for the one?
No, the persons that are in the relationship, right? They need to have like a strong undergird that this is my decision, I'm making this decision, right? I feel like what I've realized with other relationships as well, whether it be cultures, that sometimes I've seen the flipping the script. I've seen the flip happen as well, that the families are friends, they love each other, the culture is strong, they've been praying for this marriage to happen, and it doesn't go well.
Yeah.
Because the two people in it hate each other. And they actually not, but it was so encouraging.
It ticked all the
You know what I'm
boxes,
saying?
like-
And it's just like, it will look on paper like boom, boom, boom. So I just feel like that's a case in point to really, that's what I'm saying, a conversation needs to be done and take a real look at what is this. You know, if culture is important, don't neglect it, you know, but if also making a decision for yourself as to, in terms of when you're talking about values, I think that what the parents of, you know, cultural families may also neglect is that your values of your kids may not be your own values. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, have you thought about that? Like, you know, probably your values is that you wanted, you know, your husband to do this, your woman to do this. In their values may be different, like completely different. And I think sometimes there could be some imposement from their own values onto them, and they're like, I don't even subscribe to what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like more conversations needs to be had. So in terms of, if I were to answer the question myself, is there a one? I would say no. Okay. I wouldn't say there is a one. I would say there are multiple.
There's many.
Multiple. Because if my one is not in this country, then what am I?
But you're only allowed one. That's important.
It's done.
Okay.
You know?
I think it's all the question is asked, but if you put one in inverted, it can be
You know what
from
I'm
the
saying?
multiple.
Yeah. But I was going to say to you, even with the culture thing, I would say that for me, I don't have a problem with the sort of a mixed culture. I think that as long as there's a respect, because my biggest thing would be that I want you to respect that culture, not to, you know, and if you was to have kids, that child to be able to have that experience of those cultures. That is the most important, because that to me is enrichment. You know, you're getting enrichment, and I think it's so special but sometimes what happens, because one of the things is that sometimes when people get married, one culture dominates the other rather than, and there isn't a balance. And so that's where a lot of people get worried.
Don't always need to be balanced like 50-50. I feel like one is like in a relationship, one person will be more, for lack of a better,
That's what I just said. That's what I just said, Claudia.
One person will be. It will just happen, and it will be a natural flow. Sometimes it's a man, sometimes it's a woman. I don't.
But it shouldn't stay like that forever.
No, but I don't think it should. That's the
each
thing.
person. What I do find, the one that you think is less dominant, they have their ways of getting things done. And when you look at the real picture, sometimes it's not Mr. Dominant that's dominant after all.
It's sometimes the introvert that's doing it.
Exactly.
They're the one.
Yeah, so when you talk about dominant, there will be one. Even in friendship, there'll be one who is going out there, and you will be one who is more reserved. And there's a time when the one who is more reserved speak, it is valued because it is a good point. And you know, and both parties will understand that. But that's all about.
No, but it's not, when I say
cultural.
No, but Claudia, when I say balance, I mean that I'm very, very clear on having respect for the person's culture. If you're going to marry somebody and know that this is their culture, I don't want you to say, I don't like their food. I think that's, I don't like the smell. I don't want, but to me, I have a problem with that.
You just got to work with it.
Because you married this person. That is where they came from. That is their household. That is the food that we're brought up with and they ate. They've got really fun memories about, you know, like when you're young and you get fed certain foods, there's certain things that brings you, the smell brings you, that childhood that brings you back to that. So when I'm saying that, I mean that you really got to, number one, think about who you're marrying. And when I say respect the culture, know that this person that you're marrying has this culture and respect. And it's not just about, you know, another country culture, even a British
the same
culture.
Country, I
think even if you marry a Scottish person, they've got a culture. A Welsh has a culture, and I think you need to respect that. I feel like that is where I'm coming from. You know, if the man wants to wear a kilt, he's a Scottish man for his wedding. Let the man wear a kilt for his wedding. You know,
Eat the haggis.
Well, well.
That's right.
Yeah, except the whole person and all of that.
Yes,
That's
everything.
right.
And I think that's a fair point.
That's my thing,
But
because
can I
sometimes
say it does take a certain level of confidence in young people to be able to stand up and say, this is who I am. And that's one of the points I was making. Be comfortable with you first, because sometimes you will compromise, and you compromise in a way that you'll find out later and pay dearly for it. Either the marriage will suffer. Maybe if you had said certain things to your intended before, it would not have been a problem, but you wait until 15 years in the marriage, you're bitter for all the time, because he didn't discuss things and he or she addressed it in a certain way. So being comfortable with yourself and knowing who you are is important, because that will
100%.
smooth out
foundation.
all the, yes, it will smooth out. It will make you know that, my parents are like this is their culture, we got to respect that. This is our food, we got to respect that. That's how you are, your family. And that is where the support that we talk about, we talk about families having that support. It doesn't have to be arranged, but them support is necessary, even if the family members don't think that he's the right match, or so let them figure it out. Just be there. So that will work out with the culture.
And I agree with you, but there's one thing as well, that even if you have that discussion and that person is not willing to budge on that, because sometimes you can have those conversations. This is my culture. This is what we do. If that person's not willing to budge on that culture, don't be, because this, I'm talking about this before you've got married now.
Yeah.
Don't feel scared, or you're not going to find anybody else. You're going to find somebody else. Don't be worried about that, because somebody that cares about you, that wants to be with you, has to, like you said, the whole.
But what if you never find anyone?
You know what? It's better to me, it would be better to be on your, to me.
Try selling that to young people who have dreams and goals.
No, what I'm
of
saying
having
to
a
you,
husband and a wife and kids.
No, but what I'm saying to you guys is that I'm saying that you are going to be in a situation where, like you said, 15 years down the line, there's a lot more collateral damage.
Yes.
You've got kids, you've got a house, you've got careers.
Some people prefer that to being never married.
So you've got all these things that are collateral. You've got that are going to be, rather than go to that point where you've got kids and you're thinking now of divorce or separation, or now you've got to sort out who's going to get the house and who's going to. I mean, this is, to me, you haven't got that baggage. So you've now got to deal with those things before. I would prefer you, because that you haven't brought another life. You could even have a dog that you share. Yeah?
That's utopia. That's the world of utopia.
No, but what do you think? What do you think, Stephen? What's your thought?
That's utopia.
I mean, in any ideal situation, you want to be well prepared for something that you're committing your life to.
100%.
So you don't want to be, just jumping into things, and this is why there is value in having like a family that's behind you, to offer counsel, to say like, you've only known them 3 weeks, it might be a bit too soon, take your time, get to know them, find out what you like, find out what you don't like, talk it out. All those kind of things, and even when it comes to the marriage part, like you've got to work through the whole aspect of like the whole idea of love and things like that, because love is very different in the first couple of years of a relationship to what the rest of your relationship is going to be. You got to kind of recognize that actually love ends up being a choice. You actually choose to love a person.
Yeah.
That's what marriage is. Like you're choosing. So you're making a commitment to love a person, and there'll be challenges that walk hand in hand with that. And so all those things need to be. But there's too many people, in our world that they've never had the opportunity or the people behind them to kind of walk them through something like that.
They gotta figure it out.
This is
It's a gift, really.
Yeah.
And not only that, one of my observations when I just came from Jamaica and came here, I noticed that people would be engaged for 7 years, 8, 9, 10 years. And I was sitting there thinking, but that's a whole marriage. And they were doing everything for marriage, or that married people do.
Buy houses.
And buying houses together. And the only thing they weren't doing here that I noticed, they're very careful not to have kids. Yes? And after 9 years, it can just dissolve. and somebody's left extra bitter, clocks ticking and all of that type of stuff. And I'm saying, why? You want to make sure that you get the right person. Sometimes there is no surety, and that's why I said I talk about utopia. We are people, we have personalities, we have differences, and you could have the perfect, quote unquote, marriage, and at year 5 you change to somebody else, or something major happened, an incident that turned the whole relationship upon its head and test it. So my thing is, go in faith, talk to your man, but this is the same thing that we just discussed, because there is no way to know 100%. Otherwise, what will happen is we will not move. We will all sit down here, or we shack up. And I don't know which is worse. I don't know which is worse.
I think it's funny that you say that, because so I dated my wife for 8 years.
Wow.
We were engaged for 1 year, and then we've now been married for 14 years.
Wow.
So it's, and
And did it make any difference, that long wait?
yeah, I mean, actually, it kind of ties into what you were saying earlier about us being in the right place. Like, she had university to go through, and things like that. I was going through university, those kind of things, and so it was kind of like, do we get married before you? It's not, we want to make sure that we're kind of set up in a way in life, and personal goals, those kind of things. And so we kind of went down that road. Well, we did go down that road. That's exactly what we did. So we, that's the direction we went. But yeah, the reason it makes me laugh is because I remember having a conversation with a young person around the whole topic of, like, they're dating a person, and their question is like, how do you know when you're allowed to go to, like, the next step type of thing? And I'm just like, you're literally talking to a person that dated for 8 years.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So,
Amazing.
So I don't know if you want my answer.
Take your time.
But would you do anything differently when you reflect?
No, I don't think so. I'm happy with
Yeah.
the way that went. I think it was wise. It was a journey. There was a whole bunch of journey to get through before making that marriage choice as such.
Yeah.
It's not that the marriage wasn't ever a choice earlier on. It's just
At the time.
the moment for it to actually take place.
Yeah, the season.
Yeah.
That
So-
makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting what you said about that as well, is that it's true. When you're in, what you said, Claudia, when you're in a marriage, you go through a resurrection, to different resurrections and different lives in that marriage.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that people understand that person that you probably married maybe 5 years ago isn't that person that you're now with, now. And they're going to go through, and vice versa. And I think people have to understand that, and it requires a new getting to know and getting to understand and finding ways to communicate better. Does that make sense?
100%.
And if
Yeah.
that is working, you won't even notice the changes sometimes.
Well, yes, it's
Yeah.
true, because you become unsick. For me, it's about having someone that witnesses your life when you're with that in that journey. They witness in your life, and your life goes through the different stages and different seasons. And with that comes with, it's like we've talked about Abraham before. When you meet God at different places in your life, he has a different name. And I think we have to understand that, because we have different names as we go through our journey as well. So, right. So, my subject matter, this is the last one. So my subject matter is, there's an age of technology now with women that have gotten to a certain age, and they're like, I haven't found,
The one.
the one.
Oh,
They've been
Lord.
looking for the one. But I do want to have a family, and there is technology that allows me to do that,
Oh.
right? Without a spouse, without going through the marriage and the process. I've got the house, they, like you said, killing it, doing all that stuff, and they've got everything in place, but that spouse.
Wow.
Or is it that spouse or that child? Do they
Spouse.
want? They want a spouse.
They don't have a spouse,
Okay.
but they want a child.
Okay. Yeah.
So now they want to use technology to achieve that.
Is it because they can't get a spouse, or they're just ready when they're ready?
Some of them, they haven't found somebody the one. So now they're like, okay, I'm now 45 or 30 something, and I want to have a child. And so I'm going to use technology to achieve that. And I'm also a Christian.
Wow.
So
I'm sorry,
How
I'm not laughing. I'm just thinking out
how
loud.
do, what are your thoughts on that, guys?
It's been bright, should I
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Andy.
You should go first too.
I was just gonna say somebody else start.
Time.
What do you think? What do you think?
Oh my goodness. Well, I can use myself as an example. I'm not married. I'm not bothered about being married. I'm happy living vicariously through nieces and nephews, and that's me. I have one thing whenever people come to me and say, "Oh, don't you want to get married?" I say, "I gotta find me a rich man," and they go, "You'll be waiting long." I said, "I have been waiting long." My whole point is I'm quite happy with who I am and what I did. And not only that. My background growing up as a child, as I said, I helped as the first of 5. I helped my mom to raise my siblings. I believe I've done parenting by default without the husband and the kids. And it's very selfish. This might seem very selfish, but I cannot do that again. I just see it as to do it all over with your own kids. I don't know if I have that energy. It would be unfair to do that again with your own child. And at this stage, and not only that, when I look within my circle and my limitations in terms of the limited sphere that I have to look for a husband, because if you're somebody who is a Christian following Christ, doing all of that, and you're following the principle, now if you're not giving it up so people can taste and sample if they're going to be happy, it's not going to go down because it's a different environment. It's not the culture where people will, what we call, buy a puss in the bag. In other words, they will take you from the altar before they know what they've gotten. That's not, and I'm not prepared to compromise in that light. So if somebody wants, for the person who really wants a child, I don't know what I can say to that person if they want to go and buy get it
Like
in that rule, because I don't know. However, I'm not willing to sit and judge anyone who's done it.
So would you say they should be, if they did go through that route where they did get pregnant, should they be disfellowshipped or taken out of the church? Because now they haven't got a husband, they're not married, and they have a child.
I don't think there should be this fellowship. But I think if you're a good leader in the church, you would be somebody who they would come and have a conversation with. And not only that, I spoke to a church leader once, and I said to him, I think the church should be doing more to encourage marriage amongst young people. And his response to me was, no, they could find their own people themselves. And so what I am, this is me on my rebellious side, what I am not averse to is somebody leaving the faith, I'm Christian, going and find the person and either getting married out there and coming back with a family. I have no problem with it, because if it's not here and they are like Hannah who wants a child badly, what are they to do? And if we're in that sphere, we have conferences, and when you listen to the radio and they say we are a conference, a people, a body, but you can't find anybody in there to marry, and I just think it's not encouraged. It's just expected to happen that you'll find someone. I'm not averse to that.
Okay, so Stephen, what do you think?
Tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on a whole multitude of things, I'm very hesitant to disfellowship people.
Okay.
So when it comes to community and church life, the whole picture that's always painted for us is one of family. And so if I'm to consider a person my family, the first sign of something I might disagree with, I'm not going to be like kicking them out. They don't suddenly become not family.
Because they've done something you don't agree with.
Yeah. But that's not even to say I disagree with that, though. That's the thing. So I don't know. I mean, for me, it's the problem that I always face as a pastor is that we already in our mind have it locked in through our traditions of what exactly marriage is, what exactly a relationship is, and those kind of things. But the problem is that a lot of that is very recent history.
Right.
That's the thing. But we have superimposed it upon to everything that we've read and know. So we have a picture of what we think marriage is. We pick that up and we put that on the Bible, and God has blessed it and ordained it, and that's what marriage is. And it goes for like beyond that to a whole scope of like relationships beyond like marriage and things like that, and circumstances that people have found themselves in, and things that are beyond their control, and how do they navigate that, how do they live with that. And I think that this situation falls exactly into that. You know, maybe they don't want to get married because they've been through such a trauma that the thought of sharing a house with a man is you know, beyond what they can do. You know, they can't do that. But they want life in their house. They don't want to be alone, and you know, they want to be able to provide, to support, to do something with their life that they think will bring about meaning and purpose. You know, beyond career and all those kind of things.
What about adoption?
Well, that's another route, yeah.
But they wouldn't. You wouldn't be disfellowshipped for adoption.
No, you wouldn't. No.
And you wouldn't be told that you can't have to adopt a child. But in the context that I'm asking is, you know, because you've now gone through
Yeah. Someone's had to donate a certain aspect of the procreation process.
Yes.
I'm being very like European German Bible translator right now.
Okay.
So, so you know, there's a process to procreation.
Yes.
We know this. You know? And so you know, if you're a single female that goes down the technological route to have a child, you know, there's a process to that. And so yeah, I guess that's kind of where the moral dilemma might be. I don't personally think it's a moral dilemma, but some might. And so, you know, that's what would be wrestled with. For me, the only questions really would be, is what's the motivation behind having the child? Is it because you just need something to love? Because sometimes that's not a great motivation.
Because babies are not always lovable.
Yeah.
Sometimes. You love them, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Or, you know, there could be a whole host of motivations. Like, but also, you know, things like, you know, do you have the ability to provide and care and all those kind of, those are all questions that need to be answered.
Support.
Yeah, and do you have others around you that would be willing to support you in that? Because as you know, as nice as marriages are, you know, sometimes the marriage itself is not the support that a person needs. And you know, ideally it is, but the reality of human existence is that, you know, we can marry someone and it turns out that they're not a good mother or they're not a good father. You know, and so it does actually involve having others around you to make sure that the child is going to be okay. Sometimes it takes the government around you to make sure the child is going to be okay. So yeah, for me it's I don't know. The problem with these discussions is that for me it's never black and white.
Okay. In there.
Yeah. There's always a ton of grey for me, and it's kind of like, well, maybe this, maybe that, and that's yeah.
So you just have to take it on an individual basis then if it comes to you.
Yeah, pretty much, and but also with a ton of grace and a ton of you know, open-mindedness to something that's maybe slightly outside of your own comfort, even. Yeah.
Right. What do you think, Why?
I think the scenario you've given is what I only watch on TV, but I've never had it presented to me. Seen it multiple times on different shows, they do it. And
I mean, there was a story that actually a woman in the Pentecostal church, I was going through that, where she was like, I think 45 or so, approximately, don't quote me on this, but I can't remember her age in that way, but they said that church said that they need to have a discussion and a meeting about the fact that she'd gone through the technology route to have a child. So there is actual real life people that have been affected by that. So that's where, you know, I got the story from. But what I wanted to understand is that from your point of view, you've never been through it, but how do you feel about that? Do you think that's okay?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't even know there was a real story. I'm talking about sitcoms. I'm talking about shows, like medical shows that people do that, and you watch it and you're just like it's normal, right? But never, I've never considered the possibility of somebody or a young person or even older, whatever, coming to me like, Pastor, I've gone through this route. I'm like, how did that happen? Like, you know what I'm saying? I think the first hour I'll just be like, tell me again. Like, I'll be kind of blown away by it, right?
Yeah.
In terms of, do I think it's okay? Do I know? I actually don't know. I think for me, my traditional mind is more like a,
Find someone.
yeah, like you know, but that does not mean that I cannot understand all of the multiplicities of, like, you know, being abused, or like, you know, I've been looking, or like whatever the reason is, that's fine, whatever, right? But I guess in my mind is that there's also this kind of like traditional archaic mind of mine being like, because of what I've been taught and because what I've seen, I guess I've kind of seen that method being, quote unquote, the only method or the right method, even though I know there are other methods, you know what I'm saying? So because of that kind of mindset I've had, I don't even know what I would say to that way, or I don't know whether I don't think I've had enough time to think about what kind of, if they're looking at me and like, is it right or wrong? I don't know whether I can
You come back tomorrow.
yeah, like, give me 24 hours. Like, I don't know whether I could even right now as I'm thinking about it, I was like, oh my goodness, this could happen in my church. Like, it could potentially happen, but like,
But you go to your senior pastor.
I've got a message for you.
Well,
Keep it moving.
well, but I feel like I don't even know whether I think I'll need some time to even consider how do I really feel about this, because I feel like now it's been kind of put on me and I'm thinking, what are my views on this? Because usually when you're watching the TV, it's just for entertainment, but this is actually happening, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I don't know, Steve. I don't know.
I mean, what was your first, when you heard it? When you said think about it, I want to know what your first instinct. So, you know, if so, what was you?
Right now, there's so much things happening right now in the world. Like people are doing stuff, and I'm just like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but I'm just like,
Bigger fish to
you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, literally, like I'm literally on social media. I'm just seeing people do stuff. And I'm getting educated, like, oh, we can do that now. That's crazy. Like, I'm legit, like, saying, like, people are doing it and it's done. I mean, for me right now to be like, it's been done. You know what I'm saying? So I guess right now it's like, for example, if they've done that and they do have a child, I guess my question is, I think from a pastoral perspective, before I bring out, more dynamics, just like, I just have to be asking, like, are you even okay to take care of this child? Like, can you even do that? Is there that right support? Make sure the woman and the child is okay, right? Do that first and foremost. And then let's talk like next week. Let me just gather my mind as to what actually took place.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, I can't say, I don't have a moral stance on that.
So what happens if the church you were in, you had the board saying that we wanted to fellowship this person because we felt that they're not.
That's the conversation we need to have, because then I will actually have to look at what the church manual says, what all of these things says, like,
What's a reason for doing it?
No, I'm saying, but for me, I would have to really figure out, like, how did you come to that conclusion? Why is your stance on this? Like, because for me, I would just have to question, like, what's going on here, and like what kind of parameters are we using to come to the conclusion that we're making.
So in the context of, for example, right, you've got maybe a lady that gets pregnant out of wedlock. She's not married, but she hasn't gone through the technology route, and that person is disfellowshipped because of that reason. And then you got this person who's going through the technology. Do you think it's unfair?
How do you mean, like, two different scenarios?
The two different scenarios, but would you say that this other person, because they're both going to be single parented, so what is the basis for then, if we're going to disfellowship this person?
Oh, why not disfellowship that person as well?
Yeah, because there's inconsistency. Because if you're going to accept one, does that mean that then that means a single parent, that girl that has got pregnant, It hasn't got the husband.
Dilemma.
It's
I
true.
mean,
Yeah. I
so
do.
does that? How does that fit in?
I do get that, but I also know that not every, in terms of the church dynamics and, you know, from where you'd be located, whether it's Europe, America, Africa, and whatnot, different pastors, quote unquote, may even deal with church policy different as they see with their culture
and the local,
what they-
right, yeah.
Because I know certain people that disfellowship has not been the result. It may have been a censorship.
Yeah, but even censorship.
Yeah, it
Because
may have been
I mean,
that.
when you say censorship, can you define? 'Cause
Yeah,
people don't really might not know.
I guess for people that don't know, so censorship is more like you're not cut off from the church. You're not like
It's not deflection. You're not being taken
you're
out.
not being taken out. It's just that your duties on your roles or what you're doing primarily in the church may have ceased for a period, maybe a couple of months to a year.
So what you don't get involved in the church stuff that you
Yeah,
normally would. So that's
yeah.
what censorship. So
Yeah.
you've stopped. So in that context, even as censorship, do you think that if that route is taken for a single mother, then
That's what I'm saying.
It's tricky,
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that to say, sorry, I'm going to speak. I'm saying that to say that the scenarios that I've been part of, this is a whole new breed.
Yeah.
Like I've been more about the the child, at wedlock and all of that stuff, pretty much from different dynamics and right there. But this one, I don't know. I don't know about
I'm
it.
just thinking about
yeah.
the woman. If she comes to the pastor, come to the church like that, I just think it's something that needs to be dealt with such sensitivity, because that can make or break her as a Christian person. And I'm also thinking about, as you were talking, it came to my mind about some things in the news that I saw. Children who were born using this method are now looking for their parents, their fathers, in particular. And there was this man who he was a professor in a university, and he had about 2,000 and odd children from all.
you
And
just kept on donating? Yeah.
he just kept donating, and it's £20 US a bottle. So he was just donating during his university years. So he ended up with about 200 and odd children and so on. So looking at the bigger picture, things would have need to be dealt with quite swiftly, but then this is a topic for us to get ourselves educated on. I know a couple within the Adventist Church who are seeking a similar method to bring forth their children.
Yeah, but that's a couple.
And-
I'm talking about.
No, hold on.
Single person.
They are looking to go and get the same help as a single person.
Oh, as a single person.
Same as
Right.
a single person, and it caused a bit of ruction in that environment or in that space. So what my point, the point for raising that is to say that whatever is going on out there, we have people within our midst who are thinking about it. And if they are like Hannah, desperate for a child, who will go in and pray and pray and pray, people, when they are desperate, will go the extra mile and do the measures. So it's just it's a very good topic point. It's an awareness, but it should not be swept under the carpet. And now that we've heard about it, we got to go look into all aspects of it, because it's so multifaceted. It's interesting. It's just you to bring that one up.
Right.
Very interesting.
Sometimes the parents are desperate for grandchildren.
Exactly.
Pressure.
And they're
Or
like,
medical.
you don't have to get married. You just
Just
give
one.
me a grandchild.
It's
Wow,
so true.
wow.
And that's what sometimes is going out there. Because when like you said, Steve, this person that I read, she was like, I've waited all these years. I'm highly educated. I've got my house. I can afford to look after a child. I can do all the things that I want to do. I just haven't found that one. But I want to have a child, and I'm able to have a child. I can afford to have a child, because even that process in itself is costly.
But you got to think about people with medical conditions too, especially ladies, endometriosis, fibroids and stuff,
Yeah.
and they went and have the operation, and the doctor said this thing can come back, so you have a window. That will call for desperation. They're not going to wait
true.
for you to date them for 8 years. And Love you,
There's
Pastor.
limitations.
Yes. You know,
wouldn't
so
do
so they're gonna be, there's urgency where that
Right.
is concerned, and they
Right.
might not come to the whole church and tell them that that's the urgency, and that's why some of the people just go out and just be with somebody and get whatever, or there is that urgency for them, and we judging from a biblical point of view where everything is perfect. As I mentioned a while ago, utopia. But yes, that's just one reason why somebody would be that desperate, and those things have to
But
be
sometimes
considered.
they're not desperate. Sometimes they just think that
It's just a desire.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
desire. I just desire to have a child, and I want to have it at this stage. So it could be that. But I just thought I'd throw it out there and see what you guys thought about it. And it was, you know.
Wow.
I'm still.
Talk for days.
I'm gonna.
It's just the next step in their personal goals. Yeah.
It may be.
Exactly. And there's
But-
self-development.
But it also shows. It also shows where the world is at.
Narcissism.
It also
Yes.
shows where the world is at. It shows that where we, as leaders, ministers, whatever capacity, we're keeping up with what looks like. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like sometimes, the quote unquote, when we say the world, it just means people not in the church, quote unquote. They may be like more advanced in terms of like technology, keeping up the times, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer for it to trickle in
Yes.
into the pews and
yes,
whatnot.
yes.
By the time we know it, I realize,
It's too late.
what the heck?
Give me a week.
So, give me a week. So I feel like, and that's why I'm just still kind of like processing it, because like I'm saying, not that I'm not aware. I think I've just not pieced it together that this could be closer to you than you think. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm just like, okay, well, I gotta be ready for everything. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's
Wow.
You
Thank
gotta
you.
watch more of these.
Thank you. Right, guys, thank you for coming. I really enjoyed it. Right, as you know, it's the end of the IN2G show. Thank you for watching us today. If you have any comments, any feedback, anything that you want to say, do not hesitate to kind of make your comments below. Thank you once again. We'll see you very soon.